The illicit use of hard drugs has constituted a menace to parents, citizens, and the society at large. Young men and women have turned to drugs, abusing these substances, which poses great threat to their future. However, in this fight against the drug abuse, the agency empowered by the government is bogged down by several challenges. Today, we would be speaking with the person of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, Rivers State Command, Mr. Emmanuel Ogbumgbada, to get a view of how they have been combating drug abuse in Rivers State. Mr. Ogbumgbada, thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Okay, sir. So, sir, I understand that the NDLEA is charged with the responsibility to curb the illicit use of substances, often referred to as hard drugs. Now, the agency is also charged with the responsibility to apprehend and charge these offenders. How has the agency been able to tackle drugs and illegal manufacturers of these substances in the state?
Well, as you rightly said, NDLEA is charged with the responsibilities to control, reduce, and possibly eradicate the abuse, trafficking, manufacturing of hard drugs and similar substances. And so the agency has been discharging her duties according to that law, which empowers it to do so. NDLEA Act, Cap N30, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004. And so we have various state commands, or in the 36 state commands of the Federation. We have our formations, and then we also have our formations at the airports, seaports, and even at the border posts. We also have other special commands, that are all working together to ensure that we discharge our responsibilities effectively.
Okay, sir. Looking at your remarks, you made mention of the different entry points into the country, and Rivers as a state has the land, the air, and waterways. Now, what provisions have been put in place to checkmate the different entry points, and how effective has this process been?
All right, for now, we have our officers stationed at the airport, the international airport, where they work according to their required responsibilities. That is to check those bringing in these substances or those taking them out. We also have the Seaport Command, where you have officers at the Onne Seaport, and then at the NPA, they discharge our duties there as well. And then at the state command level, we have our operational base here, where we conduct arrests and seizure of those substances. Of course, we do a whole lot of investigation. We get these things done. And so when suspects are arrested and we investigate, we charge them to court. And God willing, we get prosecution and get them convicted. So the whole totality of NDLEA job is quite encompassing. Okay. We also engage in sensitization and treatment and rehabilitation of drug-dependent persons. Okay. Because it's almost like demand and supply. While we are busy trying to suppress the supply of hard drugs, we are equally making efforts to reduce demand for them. Now, those who distribute these drugs are the ones that are arrested and charged to court. And then those who are negatively affected by this drug scourge are usually taken into a rehabilitation center and treated and rehabilitated, and then discharged back to the society, so that they continue to contribute to the development of the society.
Okay. Okay, so you mentioned that the agency has apprehended suspects involved in drug trafficking and other illegal drug activities. Now, with the legal and prosecution unit of the agency in place, how many convictions were recorded in the past year, and how long did these processes take?
Well, the court processes, you cannot determine it from the beginning of the case. It depends on how evidence are provided, and then how witnesses are equally level, and then of course the time of the court. So you cannot really determine the exact duration. But the important thing is to get conviction. And we have been doing that. In 2021, we successfully convicted 13 drug peddlers. Yeah, successfully. Although more than that were charged to court. And most of the cases are still ongoing. And then in terms of the arrest, we arrested about 147 drug offenders, comprising 118 male and 29 female. So it will not be surprising that women are increasingly getting involved in drug abuse. The reason is obvious. What a man can do, a woman wants to do better. And it's a very serious challenge to us, because women are the bedrock of the development of the home. Whatever a man does outside, the home needs to be intact. It is only when the home is intact and having better development, that's when the children will turn out well. So if the problem has gone down to the home, it means that it has become a very serious issue. And that is why NDLEA is calling on everybody to join hands with us to ensure that we eradicate this very serious problem in our hands. And then in 2021, we successfully seized 881.472 kilograms of assorted hard drugs.
Okay, so bringing it back to operations, we understand that the agency to an extent is underfunded. Now, how has the agency been able to thrive looking at this financial handicap?
Yeah, for a very long time, the agency has been suffering underfunding, and there are no logistics to work with. But sheer determination of the officers of the agency is what has been carrying us through. We are determined, we are fired up to do this, because we in the agency know the dangers of drug abuse. We know how destructive it is. We know how it can eat up a whole generation. And of course, we care for our future generation. We are not living in a different environment, in a different society. We still live here in the same society, and we also have our own children, and we cannot restrict our children from who they who they interact with when they go to school, because we cannot be there. So the important thing is that we extend this work to every nook and cranny, so that while our children are being saved, other people's children will also be saved. So it's pure motivation for humanity's sake. That's why the NDLEA officers are working assiduously to ensure that we tackle this problem.
Over time, there have been debates over the imbalance in the fight against drug abuse between the north and the southern region of the country. Now, there has been claims that the agency pays more attention to the south than in the north. How true is this?
It is not true. It is not true. Like I said earlier, we have commands in 36 states of Nigeria and FCT. We have state commanders manning those commands, and each of those commands have area commands. Area commands are like subunits, covering local governments. For instance, in Rivers State, we have 5 area commands. We have one in Bori, we have one in Okrika, we have another one in Boni, we have another one in Ahoda, and then we have another one in Eche. Now, each of these area commands have 2-3 local governments to cover, depending on proximity. And then they report to the state command headquarters here in Artillery, Port Harcourt. Now, the same goes everywhere. All the states have local area commands, depending on proximity and the nature of the place. So the states are treated equally, and the operatives do their surveillance, go for operation. We have legal units in all the commands. So suspects are being charged to court the same way it is done everywhere, so there is no segregation. The war is total.
Okay, if you say so, yes. We'll leave it at that.
Yes, it is total.
Okay, so I understand that one of the functions of the agency, like you earlier said, is to rehabilitate individuals who are addicted to certain substances. Now, how effective has this system been in rehabilitating and integrating these individuals back into the society?
Yeah, we have been very successful in rehabilitating drug-dependent persons. Before now, of course, the law says anybody that possesses drugs, has committed drug offense and will be charged to court. But working in conjunction with the United Nations and other agencies of the world, we discovered that a lot of people get involved as a result of peer pressure and ignorance and so on and so forth. So some of those people may not have committed any crime aside using drugs. That being the case, we treat them as sick people. We provide treatment and rehabilitation for them, because if we charge them to court and they get into the prisons, they might mix up with criminals, real criminals who are serving jail terms in the prison, and in the process they might get to learn more criminal activities, and then when they come out here they become a problem to the society. So it's better to treat those people and reintegrate them back to the society, so that the society does not get to suffer more. So our rehab center, of course, we have a makeshift rehabilitation center here. We have written and requested from the state government and the IOCs and well-meaning Nigerians to support us so that we get a befitting rehabilitation center where we'll be able to take in more people. Right now, we have a makeshift rehabilitation center where we take a maximum of 25 people. We don't have any space for female, and yet parents come every day to us crying that their daughters are involved in drug abuse. So using this opportunity to call on the government, both state, federal, local government, any well-meaning Nigerian to come to our aid. We have a land space, we have an architectural drawing of a befitting rehabilitation center that will take in enough people and treat them adequately. So we are calling on people to come support us, get this rehabilitation center built up so that we'll be able to rehabilitate more people, because we discovered that a whole lot of people are getting involved in drug abuse. So that's that on rehabilitation. And of course, we do a lot of sensitization. We go on air, we equally go to schools, go to NYSC orientation camp. We encourage communities to form drug-free clubs, community level, school level, tertiary institution, everywhere. And in fact, the Honorable Chairman, Chief Executive Officer of the agency, retired Brigadier General Muhammad Marwa, launched War Against Drug Abuse, WADA. WADA is it's a totality of involvement of every individual in the society to eradicate drug abuse. And so at every point, every community, every village, every local government, every ward, people are expected to come together as WADA ambassadors to be able to sell this message of drug abuse, sensitize people, let people know the dangers of drug abuse. And if you know the danger, because we established that ignorance is one of the major problems leading the young ones into drug abuse. Now, if somebody has that awareness of the dangers of drug abuse, of course, he has the opportunity of making healthy choices. And so it will be better for us. I'm sure a whole lot of people who ordinarily would have, taken to drug abuse would not do that, haven't acquired the needed awareness. So our rehabilitation system covers both rehabilitation, treatment, sensitization, and then formation of drug-free club and all that, just to reduce demand for drug abuse, while at the same time we go out to arrest those who are distributing these drugs and smiling to the banks. Those are the ones killing the society. We charge them to court and successfully get prescription.
Okay. Moving forward, sir, recently there has been a wave in the use of crystal meth, otherwise known as urumuri, which is currently evident in the southeastern part of the country. Now, this substance has recorded a drastic effect on its users. Would you be kind enough to enlighten us on what this substance is and how prevalent it is in Rivers State?
Well, the substance, urumuri, or crystal meth, or methamphetamine, it's a very serious stimulant. It is as potent or even more potent than cocaine. It's how do I describe it? It's a very, very dangerous drug. Dangerous in the sense that addiction rate for users of urumuri is very extremely high. In some drugs, some hard drugs, you may use it 4 or 5 times before the person gets addicted, or even more. But with methamphetamine, it's almost an immediate thing. As you begin to take it, it reconfigures the body system such that the body system can no longer function normally without methamphetamine. And so it's very dangerous. And it is even more destructive. It destroys the teeth, it decays the teeth faster, and decays the bone as well. So it is possible that the moment somebody begins to abuse that drug, within a short time, begin to look very old, the teeth will begin to fall off. If you see that picture there, you see somebody with, the teeth will fall off, and then could even have a handshake and the finger will break off. So that is how dangerous it is. But that's not all. In any clandestine laboratory where this substance is produced, there's a whole lot of water usage, and gas and all that. Now the runoff, and the residue and all that still go to permeate the environment and the individuals around and affect them negatively. When the runoff permeates through the soil and is absorbed by the plants, if we harvest this plant and cook, it gets into our system. So the same thing with the residue that is hanging around, it affects the lungs. And so somebody that is not abusing these drugs may just be suffering the consequences of these drugs health-wise and wouldn't know, because there is a clandestine laboratory around the environment. So it is very dangerous, it is more potent than cocaine, and the treatment is very difficult. In fact, no treatment has been discovered for it yet. The only treatment for it is abstinence. So whoever that is abusing these drugs has to abstain from it so that the person will begin to recover the body functionalities. Else, within a short time, the person may likely lose his or her life. Now, the word Mkpụrụ is an Igbo language meaning seed of water or ice block, because it's crystal in nature. So that's why it's a street name, and most of these drugs gain their names as a result of their characteristics or their appearance or their effect on the body. That is how the name come about. In some areas they call it Guzoro. Guzoro is keep standing, which is one of the effects of methamphetamine. So that is it. And then it's not that it is more prevalent in the East than any other place. After all, the first clandestine laboratory that was discovered and dismantled in Nigeria was in Lagos. In fact, the first two clandestine laboratories in Lagos, and then Onitsha, then Delta State, and then Imo State. And of course, there are traffickers around. So even if there is a clandestine laboratory here, the dealers distribute it to all parts of the country. So there has been a series of arrests of methamphetamine in the north, in the south, east, and west. So it's not completely an Igbo thing. The only thing is that the Igbos have taken the war personally, and that is what we encourage every society to do. We saw on social media where they got hold of those who were distributing these drugs, made them carry it on their head, and of course they flogged them. We will not encourage flogging because it's an abuse of human rights. But we expect that when such people are arrested, we bring them to us so that they follow due process of the law. But our message is that let every community, let every region take ownership of this war and remove these people from the society, because the destruction is far more, than having them around.
Okay, that's very great. Now, bringing it back home to the NDLEA River State Command, what challenges has the agency been facing in terms of operations and other units?
Well, the usual challenges of funding, poor funding, logistics, inadequate logistics, and our working environment has not been too conducive, but we are happy that the president of Nigeria, President Buhari, has a listening ear and has encouraged us to do more. And of course, the National Assembly have passed the budget, and the president has ascended to it. And of course, NDLEA has a better budget right now as against the previous years. So we are very hopeful, and we know that we're going to have better working environment, and there is going to be better equipment, and then of course more funding. And let me just reveal to you that the chairman, chief executive of the agency has, in this budget, has earmarked that every state command will have barracks where the officers will be well accommodated. Before now, of course, right now, we don't have barracks. Our officers live among those who were arresting. And so it's very dangerous for us. Most of our officers have lost their lives in the process. Some were attacked in their houses and all that. So the chairman, having seen these challenges, having seen the dangers that were exposed, has made this proposal, and to God be the glory, has been approved. And so from this year, we're going to have barracks, and then of course vehicles for operation and other equipment. The only thing we're calling on state governments to support us, provide this land for us to build barracks. The agency will take care of building, but we need land space. Yeah. So our challenges are of course being addressed by virtue of this budget. The 2022 budget. So we're highly motivated. We are fired on to do the work more than we have been doing before. All thanks to the Honorable Chairman, Chief Executive of the agency.
Okay, so you've said a lot about the operations, the challenges of the agency. Now, what advice would you give to young people who are most vulnerable to drug abuse?
Yes, the young people are our future. Now, what kind of future will you have if every young person gets involved in drug abuse as they become adults? It means that we will have no future. And so we'll encourage the young ones to please stay away from drugs. Don't accept what you do not know about. Like I said earlier, ignorance, somebody will say, take this, I've been consuming it, nothing is happening to me. And then you start using it. Then it will impact negatively on the person. So don't accept what you do not know. Please, for your future's sake, the young ones, your career, your health, and everything about you. We have a lot of parents come here to complain of antisocial behavior displayed by their children because of drug abuse. A lot of them even physically attack their parents and their siblings. Once an incident that happened, a woman with two sons, the younger one went to school, good behavior, but the older one got involved in drug abuse, and every now and then he comes back home to demand for money from his mother, who at that time was a widow. And so on and on, the mother called the younger one that your brother has started again, and he started attacking the woman. And so when she called the younger brother came to stop him from attacking her, and then he picked up a kitchen knife and stabbed the boy to death. And so the woman lost it all. Why I'm telling this story is that I want to encourage parents to take this war to the home front. Parents should watch their children, search their rooms, search their bags, question them when they display some behavior that not in consonance with the family norms and values. Go to their schools, go to where they live. Take that extra effort to check these things. It is even better that you flog the child now to cry than that you as the parent will cry later because of the child's behavior. So let us all join hands together to win this drug war.
Thank you so much, sir, for your time. It's been quite interesting having a conversation with you. Thank you.